5-minute tackle tip video.
Right now, it's time for the Pros Pointer.
2020 was a special year. Everybody knows why. I'm not even gonna go into it. But even from a tournament perspective, it was a lot harder to catch fish in every tournament this year.
That's a 3-pounder all day long right there.
Almost every last one of our tournaments was extremely tough to fish. Lay wasn't one of those where it was super tough. Not only did you have to catch a limit, but you had to catch a limit of good fish to do well in this tournament. I caught fish on jerk baits, crankbaits, soft plastics, chatterbait, just about everything. There was a lot of baits that I got to catch fish on in this event. These are all the baits that I caught fish on at Lay Lake. 4 baits. That's pretty unusual for me. I'm usually a 1 or 2 rod guy. I really only had a few places that had fish. So what I did was I was very eclectic about the amount of baits I used on one spot. I'm sure you heard a lot about Garmin Livescope, and it definitely helped me in this event. I wasn't necessarily catching fish on my Livescope, but I could tell the behavior of the fish by scanning my sonar around on that point and seeing if the fish were in the top, the middle, or on the bottom.
On that rock pile. Every time you come on that rock pile, catch one moving water, which they're not moving water yet. Should get up there and start biting. It's a smaller one.
I don't think I weighed many fish on the Ned rig, but it was definitely getting me a lot of bites. What I would do when I would look at my forward-facing sonar and I would see those dots right on the bottom, this is when I would use this bait. Very simple setup. I've got my B-Lat Signature Series spinning rod. This is a 6-stick model, 7'1". I use 15-pound test braid. I use 10-pound test fluorocarbon leader, a 1/5 ounce jig head. This is Finesse Room's jig head. And then I also used a green pumpkin goby TRD. That was the setup for when I was fishing, saw the fish on the bottom. Scanning around with the sonar, if I would see the fish busting through balls of shad, what it was is that current break was creating a little eddy on that point. And every once in a while you would see the shad come up and bust through, or the bass come up and bust through the shad. When I saw that, I would switch to the jerk bait.
Oh God. Dude, I'm trying to spool the fish. Free spooling, my hands are freaking numb. No, don't jump. Don't jump. So good. That's a 3-pounder all day long right there. You can hammer, son. Ooh wee.
The jerkbait caught most of my big fish in this tournament. This is just a Pointer 100 DD. I was working it pretty aggressively, and I caught some of those suspended fish and the fish that were schooling on this guy. 6'8" Pro Series, medium heavy power rod, Luge Pro TI, and this is actually a 7.51 gear ratio reel. 10-pound test, Strike King Pro Grade fluorocarbon. Other thing that I caught on, which is my favorite way to fish, I love throwing a lipless crankbait. I was also using this guy right here.
It's long, so I just start off here. It's a big spot. It's a big spot.
This is just an old Excalibur XR50 in the knocking version, which means it just has one lead tungsten in it. It's kind of a low pitched thud to it. This is also my graphite composite signature series that's going to be out later this year. It's a 7'2" medium heavy action or medium heavy power. Lose Custom Pro on here with the 7.5 gear ratio reel. Now this guy caught me a lot of fish on the first day that I ended up weighing. I think at least 2 of my weigh fish come on this chatterbait here. This is a 1/2 ounce jackhammer. This is in threadfin shad, hey, Z-Man razor shads, and bad shad. I was really kind of just washing it down in the current on the bottom. That caught some of my better fish. That's why I was using a 1/2 ounce, even though I was only fishing in probably 6 to 8 foot of water. Just a presentation that the fish probably don't see. They're used to seeing a chatterbait scatter around in the grass, but it's a great bait to throw out, let it sink down through a school of fish, and then just hop it off the bottom. A couple of my key fish, especially on day 1, on the old school jackhammer chatterbait, hopping it off the bottom. It's a 7'2" medium heavy power rod. This got a lot of tip in it. It really feels more like a graphite composite rod, even though this is a straight up graphite rod. And I used that with a Lewis speed spool on it, and I was using a little bit slower reel. You know, I always use a slower reel when I'm using a chatterbait. 6/8 to 1 gear ratio reel. And actually using a little smaller line this time. Since I was trying to keep that bait down on the bottom, I was actually going with 15-pound test line on my chatterbait. A lot of baits that we use for Lay Lake, which is not really my normal deal. I'm usually a 2 to 3 rod guy at best. I prefer to have one in my hand. But it gave me an opportunity to use a lot of different baits and just have fun fishing. Finally, we had a fun tournament where you can catch a bunch of fish. That's your 5-minute tackle tip.